Let's go. Get that cornbread man and let's roll. We worked so hard and we lost our homes. They said, don't worry, we'll take care of it. A rockin' song for the MAGA Report. Let's go. Let's go. Get that cornbread man and let's roll. He said, your family will be fine. We'll get you what you need. He said, all in due time, I got you. A rockin' song for the MAGA Report. Let's go. Let's go. Get that cornbread man and let's roll.
All right, and there we are. There we are. Look at all the mics on and everything. It's good to be here. Flipping through some controls here, so give me a second. Cornbread Man, Dave in the AM with you for the MAGA Report. We're going to explore 10 stories tonight that catch our eye, and just going to look through these. A lot of news out there. Let's continue to pray for the country and these acts of violence that have occurred. And this wacko who's claiming NFL damage and never played in the NFL. We'll probably talk about that later, but I'm going to go through a series of stories. The president's very busy. Yeah, probably because I don't have a good internet, Brother Broski. So I hope it clears up. If it didn't, I'll just cancel the live. I see it. It wasn't like that a while ago. I do have poor internet. Let's see if it clears. If it don't, I'll just cancel. So I do see that. Sorry for that. I hope everybody's had a good day. You can hear me nonetheless. It's just been crazy here lately, sometimes with the internet. And you would think that wouldn't be a problem, but some days it is. So we'll just give it a moment. If it doesn't clear, we won't have a live. Maybe we'll just do MP3. I don't have to worry about a picture there. But I do hope everybody's had a good day. Got me a cup of coffee. And it's good. So, Broski, thank you for popping in. And normally it will clear after I'm in for a second. And it may not do that. So I may have to just redo the system or something. Well, it looks horrible. I mean, it absolutely looks horrible, and I hate that. So maybe I'll just put up a picture or something. Normally, though, it is bad. It may drop. It's and you can't tell until you go live sometimes of just how bad it is. But we work very hard. I actually have two streams, and one of them I usually stay on one and not the other. But this one tonight is not good, and it's not trying to get any better. So I'm not sure what's going on. Well, if you can stand it, I'll stay on and we'll just see where it goes. Apologize for that. I am also on Podbean tonight on MP3. I hope it's coming through clear. If the voice goes bad, let me know and I'll just drop it. I do have to go back to work tonight for a employee event. Not long. We got to go back. We're doing some employee meals. So I'm going to go back and help with that. I may be back on when I get home. It depends on how long it is. We'll see. Don't forget our support, our sponsors, and we appreciate all of them: Patriot Mobile, Mammoth Nation, Dubby, Payworld, our merch store, also our coffees, and soon to be 2 other stores that's going to come on board. So we'll see. Well, let me run through a couple of stories. If I can get my voice to clear, it's just one of those days. between allergies and everything else, it's a fight for survival. Story number 1 I want to cover tonight comes from the Pulse, and the EPA decisions that Trump is making. Their headline says, "quote to drive a dagger into the heart of the climate change religion." We talked about this a little bit, but let me expound on that just a little bit. He's going to rescind the legal basis, or it's a plan to rescind the legal basis for federal regulation of gas-powered vehicle emissions and electric vehicle EV mandate established during the Obama administration. The EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, is the former EPA chief of staff, Mandy Gunazekara, and legal experts, including Steve Malloy and Michael Butcher, excuse me, I butchered his name, are those involved. Anyway, the Trump administration's EPA proposal rescinding the 2009 endangerment funding issued under the Obama administration. This funding declared greenhouse gas emissions, including carbon dioxide and methane, as acts of threats, of public health, and that enabled the sweeping federal climate regulations. However, Lee Zeldin has announced a proposal on today stating, quote, "this will basically drive a dagger into the heart of the climate change religion," end quote. The 2009 founding has been the foundation for numerous regulations, including those targeting vehicle emissions, coal-fired power plants, and methane emissions from oil and gas operations. The Biden government had relied on this finding to enforce EV mandates and other climate policies, and that come at a cost of several over $1 trillion at least. And just the slowdown of trying to work through getting businesses started, and sometimes even working on your own property. Some of this is I'll just throw in. The proposal, if finalized, would empower the EPA to reverse regulations governing greenhouse gas emissions, potentially reducing regulatory burdens on industries reliant on fossil fuels. Legal experts caution that the proposal may face significant legal challenge unless this is done really, really well. This has the potential of being a kind of regulatory Vietnam. So we'll see where that goes. And of course, when you take on their religion, you're going to get big pushback. But this would be big. Trump in the first term worked very hard to reduce regulations, and Obama was the king of regulations. Not that he was the only one, he's not, but they did put a lot of regulations in place during that time. So we'll see. Story number 2 I want to look at today is out of 1819 News. Tommy Tuberville, the old ball coach from Auburn University, of course, Senator Tuberville, who is going to be running for governor of the great state of Alabama. He says paying down the national debt has got to come through tariffs. He also said he was going to run the state like a football coach. I thought that was interesting. I hope it's not like Auburn. I'm sure Alabama fans didn't like that comment. But nonetheless, in this article, on Monday, he has said this: the national debt, which is approaching $37 trillion. He said that he attended a summit about reforming the simplified seller's use tax, and he was asked if the national debt could be reduced by a quarter, 25%. Tuberville said he could see the debt getting paid down 25% in his lifetime, adding that tariffs and getting people back to work would be the key. But it's not going to be through taxes. The American people, I like this quote, the American people can't afford it. We are taxed enough as it is. President Trump has laid out his plan. We've got to grow the country. We've got to get more people working. Obviously, we've got to do everything we possibly can with these tariffs. And a lot of people don't like tariffs. And I can understand that, Tuberville says. We're having to pay a little more at the grocery store, clothing things that are made in this country. But for us to pay down our debt, most of us it's got to come through tariffs. They're predicting this year $500 to $700 billion will come back into our country from the tariffs just this year. And that was even before the European Union deal or the Japanese deal. So we can't put the burden on the American taxpayer. We've got to put the burden on the people that live out of the country that are taking away from us. We are the biggest consumer of products in the world, the United States of America. So if we're going to pay this debt down, it has got to come from tariffs, and it's got to come from growth of the country, putting more people to work, better jobs, and that's President Trump's game plan. So we'll see. Yeah, let's go, broski, on the ending DEI and climate change and the green initiative. Yes. All right, let's move along from Zero Hedge. Just a quick article. You know, the Rocket Man can't stand it when he's not involved in what's going on in the world. He's got to always flex his little, he don't have muscles, his little tummy. He says this is by Tyler Durden at Zero Hedge. North Korea is demanding that the United States recognize it as a permanent nuclear power. According to the Kim Yo-jong, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and a senior official of the country's ruling Workers' Party. She was commenting Tuesday through the state-run Korean Central News Agency, otherwise known as KCNA, on the possibility of renewing diplomatic talks with Washington, and laid out that any future negotiations must begin with a clear acknowledgement of North Korea's irreversible status as a nuclear armed state. In essence, she vowed to never give up nukes amid the long-running South Korean and U.S.-backed push for nuclear disarmament of the peninsula. Kim further warned that attempts to deny this new reality, quote, will completely be rejected, and stressed the country remains resolute and ready to defend itself in any situation. Any future talks must be premised on the fact that Pyongyang's capabilities and the geopolitical environment had radically changed. This new reality must be the basis for everything in the future, she said. Any attempt to deny the position of the Democratic, Republic of Korea, or People's Republic of Korea, as a nuclear state, which was established along with the existence of a powerful nuclear deterrent and fixed by the supreme law, reflecting the unanimous will of all the DPRK people, will be thoroughly rejected. We're open to any option in defending its present national position. It is by no means beneficial for the U.S. and North Korea to be in confrontation. So the Trump administration should seek another way of contact on the basis of such new thinking. So anyway, they can't stand it. So they also cover, you should go see this article, what missiles does North Korea have and tested and or operational. And the one that they have the most distance to is they have some they get all the way from 1,500 kilometers all the way up to 15,000 kilometers plus. The Hwasong 17 and 18 have the greatest range. So, they've been trying to become a big bad boy in the region. And they say they've got to be recognized as a permanent nuclear power. God help us. I hope it doesn't come to that. Also from the Zero Hedge, I like this one, with the showdown that's going on between Russia and the United States, between Putin and President Trump. Excuse me. Oil prices are spiking somewhat. as Trump shortened that deadline for Putin to, and we'll soon reveal, I like this, which one of them miscalculated. This is like, showdown in the street, like in the Old West. Which one miscalculated? So on Monday, we know that Trump lowered that from 50 days to 10 to 12 days from that day. So he said that he has plans to impose a 100% tariff on all of its trading partners by August 7th through 9th, but likely with exceptions such as the EU, which just obviously made a deal. Turkey might also be excluded given its attempt to expand its influence eastward at Russia's expense, as could mirror U.S. trade partners like the Central Asian republics, as long as they curtail trade with Russia. The question on everyone's mind, according to Zero Hedge, is whether he'll tariff China and India. If they don't cut off or at least curtail their resource-centric imports from Russia, that is, they're Russia's top trading partners, which collectively form the core of the BRICS. Yet they trade more with the U.S., with whom they're in opening trade negotiations. I think this is important. I think this is why President Trump is going to China. He's supposedly not going to meet with Xi, but he is going to China. And I think he's probably trying to make force the hand there and get China on his side against Russia in this war. Money talks. China and India are also some of the world's largest economies, so the U.S. imposition of 100% tariffs could destabilize the global economy and raise prices for Americans. Well, it could. We'll just do things here. Of course, he's made some deals with Japan and other nations. There are others that this deadline's approaching, just a little over a week away, and we'll see what happens. But is Putin going to pay the price here for continuing to press his issue in Ukraine, or is this will he outmaneuver President Trump with the Chinese? For all the Chinese are, and of course they hate America and they would love to take us down, they rely on us a lot for their economy. I think a lot more than what's going on on the other side of that. So Russia's deal. Now they could always they could threaten to cut off oil, or at least curtail some of it. That would put Russia in a real fix. And maybe the president's trying to run a flank maneuver here. We'll see. But I think Zero Hedge is right. Who miscalculated here? I think when the president throws deals like that out there, when he throws those things out the window and says, "Hey, this is what we're going to do," I think that there's probably a lot of behind the scenes things that we do not realize that's going on. So we'll see who miscalculated. We'll find out soon. Swinging around, the president was in the UK. We're going to talk about that. He basically schooled Britain on some things, according to every resource and source that's coming out. He said he didn't yell or scream or anything, but it sounds like he just really took him down a couple of notches. But the UK has got this out. This news article says that UK to recognize Palestinian state unless Israel and Hamas reach a ceasefire deal. This is very interesting. This is from the National Review because this has been something that people have talked about for a long time, recognizing this Palestinian state. Trying to apply their own pressure. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Tuesday, he told cabinet members that the UK will make the announcement before the United Nations General Assembly unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza. And it's bad. You're right. It's like a Mad Max said. It's horrible. And so there's other countries starting to put pressure here. He makes it clear there will be no annexation to the West Bank and commits to a long-term peace process that delivers a two-state solution. I got news for him. It ain't going to work. It just ain't going to work. In fact, the president has already spoke out against it. He said Hamas must also release all hostages and sign up to a ceasefire, disarm, and accept that they will play no part in the government of Gaza. They'll never do that. Starmer said as part of his conditions. So this thing is dead in the water before he even got it all out of his mouth. They will never agree to that. The revelation comes 1 week after France voted to recognize a Palestinian state. Again, empty talk. Starmer has viewed statehood recognition as largely performative gesture in the past. British officials reported, but Parliament has pressured the Prime Minister to make the declaration. The Israeli government's rejection of a two-state solution is wrong morally and it's wrong strategically. David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, said the credible path to peace is the creation of a Palestinian state, one in which Hamas holds no control in government. Starmer agreements made clear. Well, how are you going to do that? You're going to have to go in there. You're going to have to root them out. You got the same problem, dude. Some in Parliament agree that the declaration may be a gesture that has no bearing on Israel or Hamas's future actions, but say that for moral and electoral reasons, the UK should push for a two-state solution regardless. President Trump, who met with the Prime Minister in Scotland this week, said Monday that he doesn't mind if Starmer takes a position on the issue of Palestinian statehood, adding that the U.S. is looking to get people fed right now. That's the number one position. You have a lot of starving people. Just a couple of weeks ago, we gave $60 million. It's a lot of money. No other nation gave money. So again, we're up. I mean, here we go. Why are we the lead on this? This is one area I wish we were out of. That you're right, broski. I mean, you're seeing that. They're fixing to be sidelined on this whole thing. Let's move along. The left is now, according to Town Hall, the New York Times, an op-ed, they dropped a new name for Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. Now, this is an old name that they're kind of bringing back up again. So they're now calling it the Juan Crow era. These people, the Juan Crow era. The New York Times. Good grief. So they just a couple things about what they said. Now, this is what the Times said. It's not what I'm saying. In its merciless pursuit of people without papers, most of them Latino, and its demonization of asylum seekers, refugees, holders of temporary protected status, Muslims, and Palestinian rights activists, the Trump administration is accelerating toward a new modern nadir of Juan Crow, just downstream of Jim and Jane. When a sitting U.S. senator refers to New York immigrants as inner-city rats, when a Florida governor waves rapturously about the alligator Alcatraz immigrant detention center, when a presidential administration takes 2 months to dismantle decades of civil rights law, we must admit that these are acts that in a feature presentation of neo-Confederate, they throw every word in here they can. Revanchism, target brown and black people, the targeting of undocumented has a new name, after all, based in ugly history and shameful tradition, Juan Crow. The phrase was popularized by journalist Robert Lovato to describe the matrix of laws, social customs, economic institutions, and symbolic systems that isolate and control undocumented immigrants. The domestic policies of the Trump administration has taken this legacy to a more dangerous place. The policies of this administration reinstate an era in which the rights conferred to all the people of the United States by the Constitution are subject to a sliding scale of extra-legal viability depending on one's race, ethnicity, and assumed immigration status. Now he gets on top. They get on Tom Homan. Tom Homan, the so-called border czar, has said that immigration and customs enforcement agents don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. The administration has created a hostile, systematic stripping of basic dignities that works in concert with stymieing official methods people are meant to use to seek relief and redress for governmental abuse. That's just some of what they had to say. The Juan Crow, New York Times op-ed. God. Oh my goodness. You just got to love these things. I mean, they always take up the causes of people that are, on the other side. They're not even American. They always take up those causes. Of course, anything to make the president look bad. Breitbart is reporting about this meeting between Starmer and Trump that President Trump eviscerated Starmer on oil, taxes, crime, and mass migration, which, by the way, they do horribly on all those. President Trump was unfailingly polite to Britain's Sir Keir Starmer during his visit to Scotland, pouring on praise while simultaneously landing gut punches. I love that. As he tore apart every single government policy. I love Victor Davis Hanson. If you don't read Victor Davis Hanson, you need to start. Trust me, he's awesome. He goes on to say, United Kingdom Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was hosted as a guest in his own country by U.S. President Donald Trump at his Scottish golf courses and country house on Monday, while Starmer and the attendant media were constantly reminded by Trump how much he likes his British counterpart. The laid-on flattery was quickly recognized by observers as the velvet glove cloaking an iron fist intent on rattling a left-wing government dragging Britain down. Rifling off press questions, Trump made abundantly clear with cocked eye and body language alone his inner thoughts on the UK government's assault on freedom of speech, expression, faith, and information. Later, President Trump sat beside Starmer and offered fatherly advice on how to win elections, rattling through a list of policies popular with ordinary people that amounts to a total repudiation of everything the UK leader's left-wing Labour Party stands for. President Trump said, politics is pretty simple. Generally speaking, the one who cuts taxes the most, the one who gives you the lowest energy prices, the best kind of energy, the one, I wish he'd thrown beautiful out there. Amazing. The best kind of energy, the one who keeps you out of wars, stop the crime, and in your case, a big immigration component can be sure to win elections. This guy's amazing. I'm sorry, man. It is freezing up. Can you still hear me? I'll finish up. I'm going to have to close and reboot or something. Let me finish this article. Punishing as having to sit through this was for Starmer, the camera of the world's media focusing on Starmer looking in the middle distance with an apparently vacant expression. The UK's other leaders also call it a black making an accurate assessment. I apologize. I'll tell you what I'll do is instead of looking at my frozen face, we'll put something up that matters, and I'll try to fix it when I take it down. So we'll just put something up, and that way it's frozen. It doesn't matter. I'm not putting something on the screen anyway. So I do love Victor Davis Hanson. He's amazing. Okay. Glad you can still hear me. I apologize. I am running on MP3, so we're going out to there too. And amazingly, I have excellent internet on the MP3. It makes no sense. So for you on MP3, or we'll hear this, and I'm glad y'all can still hear me. And maybe for voice, it's okay. I'll reboot the system. I should do that once a week anyway. They tell you to do that, and sometimes I don't. We did have a little storm up here earlier. We did have a storm. So anyway, let me go back to this article. I love this article. Punishing us having to sit through this was for Starmer, the cameras of the world's media, focusing on Starmer looking into the middle distance with an apparently vacant expression. The UK's other political leaders also called a little flack, making an accurate assessment that British politics has resolved into a two-party game between Starmer's Labour and Nigel Farage's Reform UK. I assume there's a thing going on between you and Nigel, and that's okay. It's two parties. Trump handily dismissed of the Conservative Party and the rest. The default party of government in Britain for 2 centuries, the Conservatives spent their last 14 years in power piling up taxes and throwing the nation's borders wide open, precisely the opposite of the Trump victory strategy as expressed. And the pressure piled on further on Tuesday with the firmest hint yet from Trump to the United Kingdom that all is not going as well as it could, as the global economic impact of the Russian invasion of Ukraine set natural gas prices soaring, leaving the United Kingdom scrambling. Despite sitting on vast energy reserves under the North Sea and with shale gas underground, the UK's left-wing government refuses to drill, being so wedded to its green deals. Waking up in Scotland on Tuesday morning, President Trump took to Truth Social and blasted Starmer, quote, North Sea oil is a treasure chest for the United Kingdom. The taxes are so high, however, that it makes no sense. They have essentially told drillers and oil companies that we don't want you. Incentivize the drillers fast. A vast fortune to be made for the UK and for lower energy costs for the people. Sir Keir could perhaps have taken solace in his strength as a leader, letting the words of the US president wash over him had he won a thumping electoral victory, or if he was riding high in the polls. As it is, Starmer won a loveless victory at the ballot box last year, getting fewer votes than an election loser in normal times and being propelled into power only through the collapse of the previous government. Furthermore, his approval ratings have quickly plunged to historic lows in his first year. I absolutely love this. You absolutely snooty Brits, always trashing the Americans, always putting down our president, and he schools your leader. Absolutely schools your leader. If you want to see that, Victor Davis Hanson, I just love these Breitbart stories. I love that. There's a whole story in itself is Breitbart. Absolutely. Let's continue on. I got a couple of more here that I want to get in before I depart for today, and we'll just chit chat. I'll look at chats here. I'm keeping a look. This story about these two, God, and how do I say this with any kind of, let me just say it this way. The two dudes that were able to adopt or through, they raised funds to surrogacy to get this baby. And every year they would hold the baby up or something and they kiss the baby or whatever. Anyway, I'll not go. You know what we're talking about if you've seen that story. Well, Aiden Salazar of InfoWars has this, and I like InfoWars sometimes. But anyway, they were one of the ones to report because major media won't do it. But one of the dudes in this, considered the husband, is a convicted child sex offender. He's a convicted child sex offender, and the people have went nuts over this because they're putting this up. He was arrested for attempting to solicit sex from a 16-year-old boy in 2016. So he goes back a few years. According to Redux, Brandon Keith Mitchell is a Tier 1 sex offender in the state of Pennsylvania and was arrested in 2016 after attempting to solicit a 16-year-old for those purposes. The victim in the case was a student at Downingtown West High School, where Mitchell worked as a chemistry teacher. He was 30 years old at the time. According to the Chester County District Attorney's Office records that they released and the Downingtown Police Department, Mitchell solicited the boy to send him nude photographs. He also told the victim he wanted to watch him, and we won't say that word, and sent the victim approximately 20 nude photographs of himself. Police executed a search warrant of the teacher's electronic devices and phone records, which revealed that he exchanged over 12,000 text messages with the victim. These conversations lasted from May 2013 until December 2014. Mitchell had instructed the victim to delete their conversations. Police also recovered hundreds of other sexually explicit videos of the child on Mitchell's laptop computer. He pleaded guilty to felony child pornography possession and one count of corruption of minors and was sentenced to up to 23 months of incarceration. But court records show that he was granted parole just 2 months following his conviction. My God. Moreover, Mitchell was ordered by the court to stay away from minors, but despite that, he and his and husband, or I guess the other guy's husband, I don't know, Riley in 2023 launched a GoFundMe seeking donations for a surrogate to have a baby. The couple raised just over $2,000 from friends and family, though they had a goal of $50,000, adding that nowhere in the GoFundMe's description does Riley mention that his husband is a convicted sex offender. Shockingly, Pennsylvania state police officials told Redux, quote, the state does not automatically forbid individuals convicted of sex crimes from having children, gaining custody, or exercising parental rights, end quote. The video shocked the conscience of many on social media, with antagonists arguing the practice of surrogacy should be banned altogether for those pedophiles and homosexuals. The fact that an evil child sex offender are able to legally purchase baby boys is a massive moral indictment on us all, wrote InfoWars host Alex Jones. And I would agree with them on that. So I had only caught a portion of that story, and it's just horrible. It's just horrible. And you're right, Michael. I am very sick about the perversion that's going on in the world. It's not funny, and it's horrible. How in the world did they let that happen? Broski says a 33-year-old illegal Honduran man who was a repeat offender, one who was the sheriff released earlier in the streets of Charlotte, was arrested today for raping a 9-year-old boy. Disgusting. Yeah, my gosh. And again, this is being released. These people are being released into, on our streets, and I mean this guy was this guy not only did he violate this young person. I mean, he was a teacher. He had access to all these kids, and that's just sickening. One of the last stories I want to cover. And you've probably heard of it, but I did want to mention it. I'm glad that some media is at least reporting of the genocide that's going on against a lot of Christians. But today, Pope Leo condemned the brutal machete attack that killed 49 Christians during prayer in the Congo, or the Democratic Republic of Congo, as part of a campaign to establish the Islamic Caliphate. The Pope, the State Department, the United Nations, and a leading Christian group have all condemned a new major attack on Christians, and this is from Fox News, by the way, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, which the UN says left at least 49 dead. In the latest attack in a tragic long string of mass murders by Islamist terrorists on both Nigeria and the DRC, the UN said rebels from the Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, a sanctioned rebel group allied to Islamic State with roots in Uganda, burst into a church in the eastern town of Komanda and set about hacking Christians who were worshiping inside with machetes and other knives. The congregation was attacked at 1 a.m. last Sunday morning while they were on a night vigil, reportedly praying for, of all things, peace. The rebels also burnt nearby homes. 9 children are said to be among the dead. Several villagers have been abducted. A State Department spokesman told Fox News Digital the United States designated ADF, as also known as ISIS DRC, as a foreign terrorist organization in 2021. We are concerned by reports of the recent attack on civilians in the DRC of Congo, or the DRC, basically, and strongly condemn this cowardly act of violence against Christians in their place of worship. Pope Leo also condemned the attack. He said, quote, may the blood of these martyrs become a seed of peace, reconciliation, fraternity, and love for the Congolese people. A Vatican cardinal added that the Pope, quote, learned with dismay and deep sorrow of the attack, end quote. The UN stabilization mission in the DRC, MONUSCO, expressed, quote, deep outrage at these heinous acts of violence, which constitute serious violations of international humanitarian law and infringement on human rights. The killings are strategic. And a Ila Dejati, senior sub-Saharan researcher for Christian charity Open Doors, who support and speak up for Christians persecuted for their faith, stated he added the ADF have a very clear aim. They want to turn a large part of DRC into an Islamic caliphate, like the horrific one instigated in Iraq and Syria in 2014 by Islamic State. He also went on to say the presence of Islamic State groups across the region means that sub-Saharan Africa has become a new epicenter of jihadism. Muslims are the minority here. It is said that Christians account for between 80 and 90% of the population. 70 Christians were reported beheaded again in a church in the DRC in February. The killings of Christians are worse in Nigeria, if you can imagine that. With Pope Leo telling crowds at the Vatican that some 200 people were murdered with extraordinary cruelty on June 13th in Lawada in Nigeria's Benue state. According to Open Doors International, of the 4,476 Christians killed worldwide in their last reporting period, 3,100 of those died. 69% were in Nigeria alone. He said despite President Trump's brokered peace deal in the DRC, Christians in the east of this country are still at risk. There have been a lot of attention paid to the DRC recently, with Donald Trump spearheading a peace initiative between the DRC and Rwanda, whose rebel fighters, the M23, have taken a large proportion of territories east of the DRC. However, while government forces are trying to contain the M23 in the urban region, the rural areas are left undefended. It has left a security vacuum, meaning that the ADF are free to slaughter hundreds of innocent civilians with impunity, with Christians especially at risk. And let me wrap this up with this. It is the primary responsibility of the Congolese government to protect the whole nation, regardless of their religious faith or ethnic background. What would happen if the ADF continues its killing unopposed is too awful to contemplate. May we pray for these people. That is horrible, absolutely horrible that is occurring. And I hate that. I truly, truly hate that. And definitely pray for these people. Africa has been parts of Africa have been bad trouble for a long time, and there's a lot of violence. It is said that there's always 100 wars going on in Africa. That was a saying a long time ago. If you go around the continent, it's probably true or close to it. There are so many pockets of terrorists and other, warlords that are fighting. It's probably true that there are 100 battles going on around that continent at any given time. And I will also say, for a long time, it was also a place that weapons were tried out, new weapons. It was a proving ground for new weapons. And traditionally, Russia has backed all those that obviously we supported. So in effect, the U.S. and Russia have been duking it out, but with other people doing the fighting. I don't know where that stands today, but in the past, military people have definitely used Africa as a place to unleash carnage and use their new weapons and test them out. It's not talked about enough. And Africa as a continent has everything that it truly needs to be a great continent. They absolutely would not have to really import very little at all. It is a resource-rich place that has lots of tourism. They have the diamonds. They have other natural resources. It is a place where oil is drilled, natural gas, and some of our major energy suppliers are constantly, looking for new places to drill, and they're of late they've been giving money back. There was a time when they didn't do that. The surrounding villages didn't do very well, but that has changed somewhat from what I understand. So I would hope so. But your comment is right, Broski. And it shouldn't be that way. It absolutely should not be that way, but it is, and that's horrible. Let's pray for these Christians. The machete is a big tool of choice or weapon of choice in Africa. We remember the Rwandan war and how horrible that was. I think it was estimated, what was it, 200,000, 2 million, something like it. It was crazy numbers, counting both sides of violence that occurred. It's very tribal, obviously, and tribes don't get along, these warlords. But these warlords are dictators. And in some cases, they don't have hold of much but the capital. And he's right in this gentleman for that organization. If you look into the rural areas, that's where these terror cells are making the greatest gains. Michael says people don't realize Africa covers 20% of the Earth's surface, a very big landmass, nothing like the maps show. It's a huge, huge place. It's very troubled in most U.S. cities as well. There's a lot of tribalism going on, my friend. There is a lot of tribalism going on. We've got a lot of different groups of people in there, you know. But hey, at least CNN knows how to call it, right? Did y'all see that? CNN, they know how to call the color of a person. Boy, did they blow that. Possibly white. Unbelievable. It's incredible. So that's the MAGA report tonight that I have. I want to leave a little time. Anything you guys or gals would like to bring up? Again, sorry for the weaker, stream. We'll get it fixed. They do. They absolutely do. Except when they don't. What a crazy story. And from what I read today, this guy claims claimed he's dead now, obviously killed himself. CTE was targeting, excuse me, of all things, the National Football League. And the demonic killer, he took the wrong elevator, and he got off on another company's floor, and a lot more people could have died. That's unfortunate that there was a couple of people shot up there. One young lady unfortunately died, another was shot. They could have been a lot more. Prayers out to those that passed, especially the police officer, security guard as well. People. One lady, he let off the elevator, let her go. Yeah, and he never played for the NFL. He did play and was quite a good player, they say, in high school. But obviously, he's got something wrong with him, bad wrong. And we know that CTE is a deal, and they've poured a lot of research in it. They're doing a lot of things to help with that, taking players out of the game, and those doctors rule. If they say a player can't go back in, they can't. They're doing helmet research and all these things. They're trying to make it better. But it is a thing, but it could be a thing in lots of sports, or not just even in sports. Any of us could suffer if, boxers, boxing could do that. So the guys, these people, I guarantee you the leftist media are going to come out and feel sorry for this guy and say, poor guy, it's football's fault and da. I mean, that's what's going to happen. How about the Broski? This is for you. You probably didn't see it. Maybe you did. Michael says they have better helmets than we had, and I had my bell ring many times. Well, they do have better helmets now. By the way, I'm gonna come back, Broski. I got a hot one for you. WNBA hot. I hope you saw this. But anyway, the Tennessee quarterback, it claims that in that game against Ohio State that he broke 2 helmets. It was so cold. So he's on his 3rd helmet in that game. Interesting. Anyway, did you see the NBA game called or stopped? It stopped for a wig falling off of a player. I've seen the video. She grabs the wig up and runs for the locker room. I swear to you, broski, I thought of you when I saw that. I thought of you. Is that something that we stop a game for? I mean, we've had players on the court laying down before that they haven't called it until it got back where the people could run over them. They let it play. I cannot believe they did that. Come on. And why are we wearing wigs to play ball? Oh, my goodness. Michael says, no man hit in his time is harder than Dick Buckus, and no one had bad injuries. I mean, Dick Buckus was, you could watch him walk and see what he went through. Oh, I couldn't help but think of you. Hey, I don't cover the on the sports show. I don't cover the WNBA deeply. Just throw an article. That definitely is going to get covered in sports. I'm going to get that video. Oh, that's hilarious, man. I mean, it's sad. I don't know. Maybe somebody get mad at me for saying it. I listen. I'm not even. I don't care if they wear a wig or not. But why they shouldn't have stopped the game. That was a perfect opportunity for an opposing player to go step on it. Can you imagine the fight that would have happened? Yeah. Hey, here you go. Here's you one. If Dennis Rodman was playing today and some player had that happen to them, you know yourself what I'm fixing to say is true. Dennis Rodman would pick up the wig and put it on and run down the court. I guarantee you he would do that. Or he would throw it up the stands or something. He'd do something crazy. I mean, he was always he went by the beat of a different drum and everything he did. That would have absolutely happened. I've never seen anything like that. It is pathetic. A lot that goes on. I'll agree with you there. But it's doomed to failure if they don't make changes. I'll say that. It's doomed to failure. At some point, when's the NBA going to get frustrated about pouring all this money into something that does not make money? No, and I'm just saying, what if, because how much longer are we going to sit before we see some dude do that? Well, maybe we already have. Oh, Michael says, or Broski says, WNBA is subsidized by the NBA. It does lose money. That's truth. And they want more money, so they want the NBA to pay more money because the only time the stands get full is when Caitlin Clark's on the court, mostly. Michael says only one college guy had brain concussions bad in the 70s and 80s. He was the hardest hit linebacker from Georgia. We studied him in sports literature. I don't remember the name. But, it definitely became a thing. I mean, Junior Seau and others, the constant pounding, and just staying in the game. I don't know what. I mean, some of those guys that had certainly had help. Scott Brantley. Okay. Scott Brantley. It's a bad thing. I mean, it absolutely is a bad thing to have. Oh, they made him quit. Well, it was bad enough. I mean, you have to. I mean, you got to think of someone's future. And that's with anything. It's like a player that can't pass a physical. I mean, you can't play. That goes all back to, middle school. If you can't pass the physical, you can't play. So the problem was in the professional sports, I think some of those doctors turned the other way. Some of them were hired by the team. And I think they've made that change, but the doctors need to be independent. They need to be independent of the team, and I think they've gave them that and the power to remove any player whenever they see fit, and they do sometimes. They give them the series of tests, and if they're able to pass, then they go back in. If they don't, they cannot. I think all of us remember a game where a player, after a massive hit, got up and walks to the wrong huddle, and they wave for the sidelines to come get him. Michael says he had most tackling in a game, except for 3 or 4 concussions. I believe this is right. Well, that would be tragic to have that happen 3 or 4 times in a game. I mean, I don't know how you're still walking. I mean, you see the bell get rung on a guy one time, and it changes. I mean, it absolutely. They're shaking their head. They're trying to get as they say, the cobwebs out, and that's really bad. So I'm glad that they're putting more attention on it. Oh, just 1 to a game. I'm sorry. Well, but how did he maybe have that happen before and they didn't even know it? Look at Tua, Miami Dolphins. I mean, this guy he's wearing double helmet. I mean, those are scary situations, and you see, what's going on with him. Very, very, sad to see that going on, and so I don't want to see anybody hurt. Boxers have went through this, and they've tightened up somewhat on that. They've shut matches down before. I mean, sooner than used to. Used to, if you could just growl or something, they'll let you go back in. But it's definitely serious business. Probably because he had drive the ball carrier 10 to 20 yards at a time. And I'm not going to lie. I like to see good hitting. I do. What is your thoughts about this? And the last thing I'll get into before we get off here, and I'll try to reboot and come back in. I'm gonna come back in late if you're still up. I think I'm gonna try. Sorry about that, but I'm glad you can hear me. So praise the Lord for that. What do you think about the rules on the quarterbacks? Like they can't hardly touch them anymore. It seems like. I mean, there's still sacks, but they look for it. It's hard to sack anymore without getting a penalty. I know that is the money maker for the team, but isn't it the same for all players? That listen, every player you're running the ball, you're getting hit, you're going over the middle as a wide receiver. Michael says my nephew just had to quit Dalton because they said he hurt his back. He makes 3 of me. Oh, he's a big dude. Well, and we don't want to see the young man hurt anymore. He's got a life to live ahead of him. And, we don't want to see, I think everybody had a broken bone in high school, especially if it played sports or, different kinds of cuts, whatever. But to have, backs being hurt or, I mean, even nowadays they repair knees, elbows, whatever. But I think that they're a little too tight on some of these rules on quarterbacks. It's really getting sad. They have been taking a lot of the tough hitting out of the game, defenseless receiver rule, etc. As you say, Broski. That's true. But, man, I live for that stuff. I truly did live for that stuff. And that's where a lot of great linemen come from. They always get great linemen. A lot of them, they're not the only school, but they definitely get big linemen. And some of them, I'd say they have to recruit in. Dalton is as we know, changed a lot. And to get some of the biggest, you might have to go outside. That's where it's healthy to have all those industry in your area. It'd be easy for a family to move. I'm just saying. Broski said, me too, Dave. I used to love to hit. I love to watch great hits. I still feel that way. I don't want to see anybody hurt. But you know what? That's part of the game. And, not a dirty hit. I'm not talking about a dirty hit. I'm talking about a good, clean football hit. The decleater, as they call them. the mouthpiece come flying out. I love that. I ain't never gonna. I grew up on that, so that's all part of my childhood, watching those great hitters. Yeah, I'm sure they do, Michael. I'm sure they do. Northwest, southeast. Broski says the goal is to hit someone so hard within the rules that it knocks them out of the game. Truth. And coaches tell them that. Hey, if we get this guy out of the game, our chances increase on winning. They call it putting a hit out on somebody, but everybody knows they know where your strength is. If you can get if it's like a player playing hurt. You're like, hey, he's already got a bad ankle. He's already shoulder's already hurt, whatever. Okay, one good hit, and we're probably going to see this guy go to the sidelines. We'll get the backup. That's where that goes. And so we'll see. I just love good hitting in football games. I love it. And anymore, I know it's not flag football, but it seems like they're getting a little more like flag football. So, but you know what? Flag football hurt Robert Edwards, the University of Georgia running back. He was playing football on the beach when he tore that knee up, and he was never the same ever again. That's one of the fastest dudes to the corner I've ever seen. And that cut he could make and not go out of bounds and stay in bounds and stay on the sideline was truly amazing. But he had pencils for legs. He really was not developed enough. Thigh-wise, he's probably okay, but when you get down around the knee area and his legs, they were just too thin for the position. And and he'd already, then he got hurt again, or he got hurt against Tennessee. They took out a couple of 3 running backs. The great running back out of South Carolina. Those are all knee shots with a helmet. And I think there was one more. Michael says that's what we were training to do every day. Oh yeah, that's all part of the game plan. I mean, you're looking at your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. If they've got one of their best players or the best that's banged up, you're trying to put him on the sideline for us the game on ice. Not playing dirty, not a DeMar Hamlin situation on the field, but you're trying to take that player and put him out of the game. That's the name of the game, or it was. Broski Bear says, blast someone on their solar plex so hard they don't want to play anymore. Oh, yeah. And Michael says, Earl Campbell and Tony Dorsett would drag tacklers. Earl Campbell, yeah, but Walter Payton would truck tacklers too. Earl Campbell, those thighs of his were like they had their own zip code, each one of them. My gosh. And when people would try, you could not wrap up Earl Campbell. I mean, how could you ever you couldn't even wrap up one leg. That guy was amazing. Michael says, we played by a creek in the 8th grade and we put people in the creek. Oh, I like that. I like that. Hey, another one in the creek. They wouldn't let you get away with that nowadays. There's no way. Hello there, Rocky Raccoon and Podbean. Sorry, I was looking elsewhere. Appreciate you popping in. God bless you. On the MP3 side, we're actually streaming on several different things, and we appreciate you being there. Broski Bear said, I used to play tackle on blacktop. Now, I've done that before. That's not fun. My favorite thing to do was play in the snow. All of us kids, I think we hit a little harder in the snow. We used to love to do that, and that was the greatest time. If there was snow coming, everybody would end up in the field we had behind our house, and we would definitely go to playing. And the heavier it snowed, the better it was, and it was great. Michael says, couldn't you imagine Butkus blocking for Earl Campbell? Well, my gosh. I mean, he could truck people himself, and then Earl Campbell coming through. Well, think about a triple, backfield with Earl Campbell and 2 other ones, 2 you mentioned even. Can you imagine? You couldn't stop them. You could not stop them. Broski, I'm a Bears fan, so Butkus and Peyton are 2 of my favorites. Oh, yeah. Here. Love those guys. Hey, I was never a Bears fan, but I like those 2 guys. I hate that Peyton died tragically way too early in life, as I know it happens sometimes. But really hated that. Zonka was amazing too. You're right, Michael, for the Miami Dolphins. And it's never been repeated. Never is any team ever been able to have the perfect season. And all those players that are still alive from that Miami team that did it, they root every year for every team to lose at least one game. Broski says Walter Payton would never run out of bounds. He would always took the hit and get extra yards staying in bounds. You know, they actually coach players to go on out now. You know, they changed that coaching. Hey, I'm glad you brought that up, Broski. I reminded me about that. Yes, rest in peace, Ryan Sandberg. I did used to love to watch. Atlanta Braves is my baseball team, but I loved Ryan Sandberg. What a classy guy, great player. I did like to watch the Cubs, and I could still hear the great announcer, Ryan Sandberg, Carey, not Skip, Harry, who by the seventh inning stretch was tanked every game. Love that guy. But Ryan Sandberg, rest in peace. That hurt to hear. We've lost some tremendous athletes just in the last week. Terry Bradshaw was a monster quarterback. Yes. Terry Bradshaw, monster quarterback. Absolutely. I enjoy the thing. It's nice to talk about politics, but then close out with talking about whatever you want to talk about. I like that. Rick Camp from Tryon, Georgia. They used to say that in the Braves game. That's right, Michael. I loved how they would say that. He was just no farm boy, no country boy, old redneck. Rick Camp, man, that guy wins the award for doing it right. I mean, when he retired, he just went back to the farm. I mean, you know, he wasn't trying to have some big mansion in Beverly Hills, paying all that money, paying his posse. Rick Camp was back with the cows and the pigs and the chickens and whatever else, and planting crops. And Rick Camp. By the way, I think I'm gonna make him a breadhead this week because I think I used to love watching Rick Camp. He was Rick Camp wasn't a superstar, but he was talented. I think he was probably 60-40 if he came in a game, felt good about it, sometimes 70-30, but he was on the plus side of it more than not usually. He could do a lot of things. He could long relief for you too. He was very useful start for you. Rick Camp was a great guy. I didn't know him personally. Is he even still alive? I don't even know if he's still alive. That would be good to know. Could I get? I'd like to know that. Is Rick Camp still alive? Michael says, I can't remember his name, but we had Atlanta Falcon retired here in Walker County after his knee went. Man, I don't remember. The only ones I remember from Walker County playing were the brothers, that played at Ridgeland. The one stuck. The other one, I don't think he was able to stay around as long, but I can't remember their name. But I'm probably just forgetting. You get older, you just forget stuff like that. So, anyway, buoy on this poor internet. Rick Camp did die. Okay. I thought loosely I kind of remembered that, but I wasn't sure. Seems like I kind of remember. Was it a heart attack? Seemed like it was a heart attack. And he might have even been on his tractor or something. Seemed like I remember that story. What a great guy. What a great guy. I talked to a guy today who, and I need to tell Dean this when I see him. He used to know the sister, I think it was the sister to Chase Elliott, or I think it was Chase, or maybe it was his dad. I don't know. He hasn't talked to him in a while, but I used to talk to him quite a bit. I brought up Chase Elliott. He goes, that's interesting. I used to know the sister. So this is kind of interesting. People that know each other or know something about each other. And they're just people. There's people, especially those that are not doing the sport. They're just people. And they don't have any fame other than they're the family to someone that plays sports or is famous for entertainment world or whatever it may be. And you're their brother or sister or uncle or cousin. It happens. About 2 years ago, 59 natural causes, they say. I do think that was a heart attack, if I remember right. And I could be wrong. But that happens a lot. That happens a lot, unfortunately. Well, I'm going to get off here. I've got a couple things to do behind the scenes. I'm going to reboot the system. That hasn't happened in a long, long time that it went really poor like that. It's kind of bouncing back and forth. I'm just going to reboot the Wi-Fi. I'm not going to reboot the computer. And if I did that during the stream, I would lose you. And I have a backup, but if I switched during the stream, I would lose you anyway. So thanks for being patient. Do support our sponsors. It's okay. Those on the MP3 side don't see me anyway. They hear me. So the Cornbread Man. We appreciate all of you that are listening in. Thanks for those that are commenting. If I missed your chat, I'm not trying to. I've been reading stories and stuff off different ones I want to cover. And if you missed the first part, you can always go back. And oh, Barry, I'm sorry I missed your comments. I had the studio covered up. Let's cover Barry's comments. Let's see. He said Christians under attack everywhere. That's right, Barry. China's a major stockholder or landowner in Africa. That's true too. There's another story I didn't cover about the Panama Canal today in China. I want to come back to that tomorrow. China's done many road projects there. Yes, they are. They're building up the ports. They want to take over that area down there. Thank you, Barry, for coming in. I've got like 6 screens, and I'm sorry I just had you covered. When I put up the thing, I wasn't thinking about your chat, but I was trying to just keep things covered so that I wasn't looking all frozen on the screen. It's just one of those deals. It's a little bit better than it was, but it's not great. So we're going to try to reboot the Wi-Fi and check it. So anyways, Dave the AM, a.k.a. the Cornbread Man, or flip that around however you want. And appreciate your support. Don't forget our Southern Fried Coffees. I am drinking coffee right now in the studio. And we are excited about all the affiliates that we have and our store, which we're building up. We have a new TikTok store. And no, Cornbread Nation Radio hasn't went live. I was still loading up programs last night. I'm going to make sure it's right before I do it. And so that when I update, I don't have to update as much. Because when you don't have any programming in there and you have 24/7, and I've been working on flipping things over to MP3. I've still got to get our commercials up and all that will run on the program. And there's much to do. I've got to add some stuff in. So we'll get it up in a basis here soon. If I can get it up enough tonight. But see, I got to go back to work. I doubt it. It'll probably be tomorrow night. So we're also going to get you said that was 2013 was when he died? Well, that's been more than a few years ago, right? If that's what you're talking about. Rick Camp, I'm talking about. Jeb and Bubba show, going to get that this week as well. Don't forget, in the morning, I'm going to try to be back tonight online, but in the morning, me and Rob back together, SFP morning show. Probably be a Cornbread Nation morning show on MP3, which is Podbean, sending out to all the other little MP3s. We'll do that early. Then tomorrow night is our Hump Day Views and Southern Fried Vent. On Hump Day Views, we hope to have, and if it extends into an event, it's okay. We hope to have our pro-life folks on. I've got to communicate with them tomorrow and double check everything. And then Friday night, I think we've got an interview with the other guests that Robert had up. I think they're going to try again Friday night on Front Porch Talking. Remember, they could not hear us. So we tried, but we was actually late getting on the air. Cornbread Nation on Thursday night. Sports, racing show Thursday night as well. These will, 2 of those will go live, 1 recorded. The sports and the racing show live out on Podbean as well. We'll record the Cornbread Nation and load it up. That's because Rob, I don't know, he's never figured out his echo when I bring him in. We're going to need to try that again into Podbean. So you can't hear him if I don't bring him into the Podbean studio. So we've done that a long time ago, and it didn't work the way we wanted. So all the shows I do by myself or with guests in here with me, we don't have to worry about that, and we'll go live on Podbean. And thank you for the 300th listener on Podbean. That was recently a badge that we received. And we've been with Podbean for a good while. We love Podbean. We're going to really working to bring our MP3 audience up because we want to reach you. We want to talk to you. It's a great community. And thank you for all the supporters for the Southern Fried. We are well over 56,000 total followers across all streams. And I'd say we're about halfway. We're probably about 56.5, pushing towards 57 in the near future. Remember, we have an ambitious goal to hit 150,000 in this year. I don't know if we'll make it or not. We didn't know if we'd make 50. We made it in 1 year. Can we double that at a 150 or triple it, basically, in the second year? We'll see. It's always good to have goals. We grow a little every day. We're thankful for those that come along. Take care, everyone. Have a great evening. I've got to go back. I want to go back for our employee event. And God bless those workers that are working in such heat right now. And we give them a little hot dog and some ice cream and some chips. That's a good thing. So if it goes really fast, I'll be back in time to do a show, and I'm going to try to do that. So take care, and we'll see you tonight. Thank you again for the Southern Fried Podcast. You all are amazing, and we appreciate you. Hey, everybody.